questioning the government. And again, this questioning is very well deserved, given the history of our government over the last quarter century, or since Watergate, or even since the Kennedy assassination. The Warren Commission, what a whitewash. The 9/11 Commission, what a whitewash. So these questions are well deserved. So when news comes out like this, I've got no problem in saying, wait, let's take a step back. Let's look at this now through the prism of history and see if, in fact, that what we're seeing is, in fact, the truth or not. And that's where I'm at, because I really don't know what the truth is. I'm not convinced that the facts given today are, in fact, the actual facts as they occurred. Does that make me a bad person? I don't think so.
Or unpatriotic?
No, I don't think so. And I think, in fact, it's our patriotic duty to question the facts, especially given the history of the last quarter to half a century.
But you know, Doug, if it were ever revealed that bin Laden had been killed years ago and was on ice, and that this whole thing was orchestrated, that would be a disaster for any politician, wouldn't it?
Of course it would. And I do have a hard time believing that when you really look at the issues. This would have to be such a compartmentalized plot, because we all know that the government really is bad at keeping secrets. But on the other hand, I can't dismiss it out of hand. To me, I don't think this entire situation is as cut and dried as people would like to think, or at least people in the corporate media are portraying the incident. And I noticed today too, George, on the when Obama made his statement, he made a definite misstep when he said that he gave the order today, and when in fact, he certainly didn't give the order today, or couldn't have, and then made the DNA comparison, analysis, and verification all within a very, very short period of time, because that takes at least, in my experience, it takes at least 24 hours. You push it maybe 18 to confirm DNA identity.
Next up, we'll go to Chris in Baltimore, Maryland. Take it away, Chris. Thanks for calling.
Thank you, George. I want to say that I believe that this is a distraction, man. I believe that it's taken our eyes off of what's been going on recently. Definitely with the economy and the gas prices, but mainly the Obama's birth certificate and the school records. I believe that's the reason why they're bringing this out now to distract people from what really will reveal the Maitreya, because I believe Obama's the Maitreya, man.
Well, I don't know if he's the Maitreya, but I think the announcement was made right in the middle of Donald Trump's Celebrity Apprentice, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think it preempted it or chopped into it or something like that.
Yes, I mean, go figure. And then of course Obama was late in coming to the microphone, and the entire Apprentice. And there's a bit of humor in that. But boy, I'll tell you, go figure. And the one caller did state about the occult and what have you, or about the various dates and stuff. I mean, if you look at this May Day, May 1st, it's interesting. If not relevant, it certainly is interesting to look at May 1st. This announcement is made at 23:35 hours Eastern Time, and then that's the 235th birthday of, or 235 years since the May 1st, 1776 birthday of the Illuminati, and then you've got all these other relationships in there that you can throw into. Whether or not they're relevant, certainly they're interesting to take a look at.
Well, look at the case of Manuel Noriega from Panama. I mean, for years, he was our guy. For years. Until one day he decided to do his own little drug deals on the side, and we didn't like what he was doing, and all of a sudden he became public enemy number one at the time, and he's in some French jail, I guess. We have these assets, and all of a sudden they're not assets anymore. They become, thorns in the side. And right. I think that's what happened to Osama bin Laden.
Well, I can accept the fact that Al-Qaeda by itself was really created through the efforts of the Central Intelligence Agency and by people like Zbigniew Brzezinski, for a specific purpose, and that purpose was to draw, for example, in 1979, Russians, or USSR, into Afghanistan. And there, at least at the time, it seemed like a legitimate purpose, whether it was or not, or whether there were additional things that were planned for bin Laden. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, one thing that I find Americans, as I do radio shows and as I talk to people, Americans are really reluctant to equate the CIA with the dirty nature of the business, and I think this is part of it.
Well, there is a dirty nature of the business. Doug, stay with us. We're going to come back in a moment with final phone calls. Here's our next emerging artist, Nathan Creek, the song Epiphany of Savannah Contest Part 2 from Kalispell, Montana. And welcome back to Coast to Coast. I'm George Norrie with Doug Hagman, and let's go right to your calls. We'll go to Dave in Topak, Arizona, west of the Rockies. Hey, Dave, thanks for holding so long. Go ahead.
Sure, you bet. First, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank KTOX-AM and Needles for being your affiliate.
Super.
I've listened for over a decade. I want to get Mr. Hagman's reaction to two questions. One is about a week or 10 days on IRN News, they quoted a high-ranking Pakistani official as saying they had broken the back of Al-Qaeda in the northwest provinces. Second, what do you think about Dave Petraeus being nominated to the CIA?
All right, very good. Two good questions. Let's take that one first. Look, Petraeus has done a great job for this country. I think he could do an equally good job as a CIA director as well. Go ahead, Doug.
Well, okay, with respect to the, I'll take the latter question first. Now, the Pakistani, what the caller was referring to was a Pakistani army chief, which was published on April 23rd, saying that the militants back in Al-Qaeda's military organization in Pakistan, specifically the Northwest Province, was broken. Now, the question is, was there any type of foreknowledge to either the execution or impending execution of the military operation? I'm not so sure because, again, I don't trust anyone within Pakistan or the ISI. I think enough has been happening there to warrant that statement from the Pakistani official that did that was published in the Middle East News. And there were some other direct references in that article to the Taliban and some other things that kind of shied away from Osama bin Laden, didn't really specifically mention bin Laden himself. Now, with respect to the political appointments, I think that Petraeus and the entire retinue of intelligence operatives, whether it be CIA or the Department of Defense or the military members, I would put more. I would say that the military, being the professionals that they are, really shone, if that's the word, on this particular project. Political appointments aside, I think that we've got some good people in good positions, at least in the military part of our country. With the intelligence, I've got some questions, especially with the Department of Homeland Security. I've got some questions, but militarily, and followed by the CIA, again, to a lesser extent, I think that there were some good choices and good changes made as well, appropriate changes. So, again, thanks to our military, our fine men, with the boots on the ground.
And women. And women.
And women, I'm sorry. They carried out this operation and every operation that led to this day.
Let's go up to Portland, Oregon. Elise is there on the wire card line. Hello, Elise.
Hello, George. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Hey, our government won't even cops to disclosure to the oil spills, Guantanamo, chemtrails, pharmaceutical companies, the tests that they do, the trials, the birth certificates. Do you think honestly that they would have told us they had blown them up? I believe bin Laden was taken out during the Bush administration when we learned that he had went or escaped into the rugged terrain and went underground into a bunker, and we totally bombed all that. He was taken out, blown up.
But if he was, Elise, why wouldn't President Bush at the time say, we got him? I think that would have been a huge triumph for him.
This is another theory, okay? None of the videos could ever be authenticated or ever be verified that he allegedly made after that.
Right.
And they say everyone has a twin, and who knows, maybe they were waiting for a spare parts clone to mature, not to mention the things that they can do with plastic surgery these days. I mean, people with money have those, spare parts people.
Well, let me ask you this, Elise. I'm not questioning your theories, but I do want to know why you don't believe this story, that he was killed over the last day or two.
Well, they were just saying it was supposed to be something like 2 weeks ago. No, he was killed about, 7 years ago, 8 years ago?
Yeah, but why don't you believe it? That's my question to you.
Because my spirit guide told me otherwise.
Oh, okay. The spirit guide told you. All right, well, if the spirit guide told you, the spirit guide told you. This is going to be argued for a long time, Doug Hagman.
Yeah, well, you know what, George, and rightfully so, because I think, the spirit guide aside, I think that what is evident to everyone here, there's a continuity of agenda.
Maybe her spirit guide did tell her. Who knows?
Well, hey, perhaps. But, this continuity of agenda between administrations,